Hey, it's Alexis. I want to talk about alignment and allegiance to yourself because sometimes it's not easy. So I think many of us think like, oh, just be yourself. Like, oh, just do what you want. Oh, just, follow your desires, follow your heart. But for those of us who are really socialized to think about others and socialized to be really mindful of other people or to follow the path that we perhaps were taught would be best for us by our parents or by, well-intentioned elders in our lives, it could be really hard to just all of a sudden be like, oh, okay, great. Let me just figure out exactly what I want and I'll just go do that. Because like it doesn't work that way, right? We have this pressure. We have like, oh, but can I really do that? Oh, but I'm not sure what I want because I think I want, like, here's a great example. So many girls are like, oh, I want to get married at 24 and have kids. And then it's like, well, do they really want that? Or is that just what they're taught to expect? Or men who are like, oh, yeah, I want to work my way up to being a VP or CEO. It's like, do you really want that? Or do you want to run a surf shop in Nicaragua? Like, there's a lot of things that we don't allow ourselves to even desire, either because we think it's socially inappropriate. We think we're going to be rejected by our families and unsupported, and that means unloved and thus die because we're social animals, right? Or because we don't even believe that we're capable of it. We think like it's a life for somebody else who's a special person and we're not that special. So, oh yeah, that would work for so-and-so, but it's not going to work for me, so I might as well not even dare dream about it. And all of those things are very real. Like, they're very real beliefs and they're very real restraints and constraints on what we even allow ourselves to dream. So one of the most interesting things for me about, and by the way, I'm just looking at this incredible view because you're like, what are you looking at over there? I'm looking at that. So one of the things that's really been like a powerful teaching moment for me is that here I talk about alliance. That's a good alignment and allegiance all in one. It's alliance. I talk about allegiance to the self, right? Like, how can we choose the self over others? Not in a zero-sum game. I was talking about this in meditation class today. It's not a zero-sum game. Choosing you doesn't mean that you're not choosing somebody else. It means that we're taking the risk to see if there's a new way of being able to choose you and them, but in a way that feels good for you. So we make a lot of assumptions like, oh, well, if I say no to this because I want to be alone, then that means that I'm losing that friendship. It's like, well, maybe it just has to be different. Maybe it'll morph. It'll be even more rewarding, but we have to create space for that by giving it the opportunity to be something else that's both supportive for us and fulfilling, and then also supportive and fulfilling with other people. So it's not a zero-sum game, right? There's space for the and. As Lisa Fraley, who's incredible, says, there's an and. There's always an and. Where was I going with that? Oh yeah, so allegiance. So I talk about allegiance to yourself. And that a lot of that is like claim your desires, know what you want, go do what you want, do what you want, do what you want, do what you want, like follow your dream, like take the risk, take the risk, take the risk. But yet there's this really vulnerable space where I've been exploring what I want. And on a superficial level, I know I've had a list for years. I did a Jack Canfield exercise from the Success Principles back in like 2007 of all the things I want. So I've got like a 13-page list of all the things I want to be, all the things I want to do, all the things I want to have. And they're broken into categories like financial, career, spiritual, physical, health, family, relational, all of that. So I've had this big list and I've been checking things off, which is a lot of fun. But then there's like these bigger dream, like, well, what do you want in your business? Like, my business is morphing right now. And so the obvious question is, well, what do you want? What business model do you want? What do you want to do? How do you want to live? How do you want to do this? And that's where I'm hitting up on all these really interesting beliefs about like, A, it's not possible for me. B, I'm not entirely sure what I want because I've been like training myself not to think about what I actually want. And like, oh, but that's not how other people do it. And this is what other people do. So I should just do what other people do. Like all of that. So there's this really vulnerable space where sometimes we don't know what it is we want. And so we tiptoe towards the idea that we believe that life would be better if we followed through on choosing ourselves, if we followed through on risking being different, potentially different. We fear that we'd be viewed as different by choosing ourselves, but yet we don't know what it is that we'd be choosing. So we choose in the meantime then to honor ourselves, to honor the space to not know, to honor the space to open to knowing, like, what if I did know? If I did know, what would it be? If I did know, what would it be? Instead of saying I don't know. So there's this moment that many of us may be in where we believe wholeheartedly that the best way to live is to do your own thing. And we're like, rah, rah, let's read quotes online and, share around these image quotes on Instagram that are like, yeah, choose you, and yeah, do your thing, and yeah, you come first, and yeah, self-care and self-love, and the more you shine, the more others shine. Like, we may believe that on a deep level. We may feel it on a soul level. We may get it on an intellectual. We may be like, yep, that's the way. But yet we have yet to figure out how we're shining. We have yet to figure out the area in which Gay Hendricks calls your zone of genius, and how to be in that space and how to live in that space and really expand into that space. So we're there, but we're not there. And there's a gap, right? There's that gap where we want to be in allegiance, but we're not, because we don't know what we're being in allegiance to. And this is where I found myself, and it's a really fascinating place to be, because it invites us to be so compassionate and so patient. And this is where many of us fall short, right? Is that we don't have patience. And I'm that person. I'm like, I have no patience. I want to make money, blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to do it like this person does it, because that's the way to do it. And that's the way I know it's going to work. And then it doesn't feel good because I'm out of allegiance, because I didn't give it time to unfold. I didn't give myself the heart space. That's the phrase that's coming. The heart space to feel through it. I thought through it. And so think about if there's a moment or an aspect of your life right now that you are thinking your way through instead of feeling your way through. So are you trying to force a relationship to be something else on a timeline that may be artificial to the relationship because you're convinced that that's what it needs to be and that's how it should be? And you want something, you want an end result, and so you're going to get there as fast as you can. So you're trying to find shortcuts. Or maybe it's in your business. Maybe you want the end result so badly that you're like, how can I shortcut my way there? Maybe it's by doing this thing I saw somebody else do. Maybe it's by trying out this thing that, it just doesn't seem like my dream, but I'll try it because it'll get me money now, and then I can build it for, I can build my dream later. Like, that's a shortcut. That's a key sign of a shortcut. Doing things that we think we should, will help us now, and we'll fix it later. Like, big red flag there that we're not in allegiance. So there could be any number of examples of areas of your life where you're not allowing it to unfold. And we also do this in dieting, right? We're like, I'm going to go on this big fad diet for 3 weeks to lose all that weight because I refuse to eat healthy on a normal basis, or I haven't been exercising. Like, right, we're looking for a shortcut again. So we're out of allegiance, and then we try to make up for it with something. Or we're not willing to deal with the situation and really get in touch with our emotions, really get in touch with how we want to feel, really get in touch with what we want, and so then we try to fix it somewhere. So this is where the hard work comes in, right? Somebody asked me today, why do I sign my emails, be free, be brave, be you? What does that mean? And I was like, well, the path to inner freedom takes bravery, right? So I think we're the brave souls on the path to inner freedom. And inner freedom is a state of awareness. Inner freedom is knowing that you're inherently separate and one all at the same time. You are everything, and yet you are separate. You are everything, and yet you're an individual expression of it. So, this work that we're doing is for people like you who are on this spiritual path to be and know and express more, right? More depth, more truth, truth. It's more truth, right? To have more meaning, to hold more meaning in the world. So that you're not just going through the motions of life, you are a walking embodiment of meaning and truth in the world. And that takes bravery, because it's going to require us to do things that are uncomfortable. It's going to require us to be introspective. It's going to require us to be joyful. It's going to require us to cope with emotions that maybe we'd rather just drink our way through, or eat our way through, or ignore completely. So when we choose this brave path, and when we choose this overarching goal of inner freedom, then we're gifted this opportunity to see ourselves. Sorry, people are walking by. Get distracted. To see ourselves in this sort of courageous, empowered way, but that also means that we have to give ourselves the compassion of allowing it to be difficult, allowing ourselves not to know, allowing it to unfold as it does over time, and really, in particular, allowing ourselves not to know. And this is a key yogic principle. Can we release the self in faith that there's something bigger, or in trust that there's something bigger? And many of you, if you have a Christian background, you get this concept as well. Like, can we surrender the ego to God? And it's the same thing in yoga. Can we surrender what I think I need to be like, what I want to define myself as, what I want in my life? Can I surrender that to a path that's unfolding? And the more I'm open to that path, the more I prepare myself to be in that path, the more honest I am with myself, the more honest I am with others about my emotions, the more honest I am with my desires, then the more I can naturally allow myself to be in the flow, because I'm not resisting, I'm not defending, I'm not struggling, I'm saying yes to what I say yes to, and I'm saying no to what I say no to, and feeling my way through it. So again, really, really uncomfortable, right? Like, I would much rather be in a different place by now, but I'm not. And that's such a vulnerable space. Like, it's such a vulnerable space because you're frustrated with yourself and you're, why isn't this happening? And why aren't I this? And why can't it be like this? And I don't understand. Why me? Why me? Why we? Why not me? Why not me? Why not me? You know, all of those thoughts. But the more that we surrender in that space, the more we just go, okay, well, it isn't me, or it wasn't me. Why is that? What now? Why is that? What can I learn? Why is that? What can I open to? Where can I release more? Where can I be more clear? Surrender more. So we want to surrender, but with clarity. So we surrender to the how, we surrender to the timeline, we surrender to the specifics of who is going to help us and what's, like, how it's going to work out. But we can get clear on the desire and get really clear on the desire. And that work is the challenge, right? Because many of us don't know our desires. So that's the space that I've been working with. And maybe that's the space that you've been working with. What is it that I really want? Not what do I think I want based on what other people are doing. Not what do I think I want based on what I was taught to want and based on what my parents want for me, or what I think I should want based on how everybody else my age is doing it. But, like, what do I actually want? Let go of what I think I'm capable of. Let go of whether or not it's possible. Let go of how it's going to happen. What do I actually want? And focus on the emotions of that. And then see as things unfold. Because a lot of times you'll get what you want, but you get it in a way that you never knew you wanted it, right? So we end up learning these lessons, like, I ask for healing and then I get hurt. Well, there's the healing right there. I asked for peace and then I end up living in the middle of nowhere and I'm like, this place is so boring, but it's super peaceful, right? Or, you end up getting things that you want in ways that you never expected it. But if we're constantly in a state of resistance and saying, well, no, this isn't quite right because it doesn't look like exactly what I want it to look like, then we're never able to accept it. And then we remove ourselves from the flow. We then become in a state of resistance, and then we're fighting with life. So get clear on the desire, get clear on the emotional aspect of the desire, and then we surrender. Then we give ourselves patience, we give ourselves compassion, we give ourselves time to be imperfect and time to not be there yet. Because honestly, if you get there, what are you going to do? Twiddle your thumbs and die? Like, life's a journey, right? Like, if we get there, does that mean we're tucking out? Like, I'd rather you not get there. I'd rather us continually evolve and continually grow and continually expand into new desire, and learn more about ourselves and be more patient and more compassionate and more fearless in our willingness to walk into the unknown and stand there and go, I'm just here. I'm just here. I'm not racing towards the door. I'm not racing, in circles. I'm just standing here, being open, and being vulnerable. Because I'm willing to be guided. I'm willing to be influenced. I'm willing to shape what comes next by my truth about myself and about my own wants in life. All right, I don't think I have an end point to that to capture it all together, but I just wanted to share with you a little bit about what's been going on for me over the past few years, and particularly the past year, and particularly the last 6 months of what I've been exploring. And it's that feeling of standing in darkness, really, or light. Maybe it's full light, maybe it's not darkness, but standing alone in the center of something and allowing vast expanse all around you and not needing to cling. Not needing to run to, well, but this is the definition. Not needing to run to, yeah, but I've got to have this in my life. But just standing in that central point and watching life all around you and not needing to hold on. Because you're holding on to you, because you're grounded in you. And that's why we do our daily practice, right? That's why we have rituals that we do, because that helps ground us, that helps us feel safe and secure, even when we're standing in the unknown and we're standing in that space of potential. Because in that moment of standing alone in the middle of the space, there's potential for anything to happen. But if you're afraid that you don't have the strength to define it, if you're afraid that you don't have the strength to, or the power to influence your life, then that's a really scary place to be, right? Because then anything could happen. But if you gift yourself practices, I'm trying to turn out of the wind for the microphone here. If you gift yourself practices, if you gift yourself trust, if you gift yourself like tiptoeing on a daily basis towards this place of reliance and belief in yourself, and time that you've given to yourself, attention that you've given to yourself, then when we're standing in that vulnerable space, it's a lot less scary because you know you've got you. You've got your back. So that's why we do our practice, right? That's why we do our daily practice. It's so we can be more surrendered and more open and more trusting and more full of faith, whether that's religious faith for you or faith in yourself, that you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine, and the life that you're living is the life that you're having, and the life that you're having is the life that you want. And that you can trust your desires and your ability and your power to shape the life that you want by your own intention and strength. So I guess there's a little summary there. Do your practice. Do your practices. Do your daily practice. Ground yourself. Root yourself. But also, if you're in that space of not knowing and not being. So first of all, you don't know what you want. And second of all, you don't have what you want. But you're not sure you know what you want. Then like, can you take a little bit of pressure off? Can you allow yourself to be in a space of exploring what your honest desires are? Because if you're not having the things that you think you want, then they're probably not what you actually want. They're probably things that you think you should want. Like, oh, I should be a doctor because my mom wanted me to, or I should have a successful business because that's what everybody else does. So we may just be like imposing beliefs on ourselves that aren't actually accurate. So if you're not having them in your life, it's possible that you don't actually want them. So can you allow yourself to be more honest with yourself about what you really want and have that be okay? Have that be okay. That maybe you're not who you think you are. Right? Leave a comment below if you have any questions or if you have any follow-up thoughts on this or this sparks something in you. Please comment below. I would love to continue this conversation because it's clearly a space that I'm in right now, and it's been really fascinating and humbling. Very, very humbling. So I will talk to you soon. Mwah!